Good evening, everybody. Welcome to SDPN's Game Over Vancouver here on Saturday, December 23rd, with the Vancouver Canucks taking down the San Jose Sharks in a high-scoring affair. 7-4, the Vancouver Canucks win. I am here to talk about the game, break it down for you, and talk about the Vancouver Canucks, who are at the very top of the NHL table. We'll go into that after we break the game down and talk about where this team is and where they look to be for the remainder of the season, because I don't think anyone thought at Christmas break this year the Vancouver Canucks would be the top team in hockey. I didn't know if they'd be in a playoff spot at this time of year, but it's fantastic. Very happy to be in this spot. While you're here, make sure you hit the like button right below the stream. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right below the stream here on SDPN. You can find me, Parker's Pucks, also on YouTube and Twitter/X/ whatever you want to call it. Should be a fun one. Christmas edition, I guess. I mean, the four of us did a Christmas episode about a week ago, but tonight you just have me riding solo. So let's start with a breakdown of this game. We'll go through everything that happened. You'll get my thoughts on the game. Then we'll go into some time on the analytics of this game, where the Canucks are at in the standings, which is obviously the top, but the teams around them, who's chasing them, and how does that look to shake out the rest of the season, like I said earlier. And then we'll go into some chat questions before we wrap up tonight as we get to Christmas Eve tomorrow morning. So let's get started on this one. The Vancouver Canucks started out the scoring early, and it's Andrei Kuzmenko. Healthy scratched a couple of games in a row, and of course he was healthy scratched a little bit before. He's not in Talkett's good books coming into this one. And what does he do? He just goes out and he scores. Minute 34 into the game. Elias Pettersson, or it's Ilya Mikheyev leaving a little drop pass as on the zone entry for Andrei Kuzmenko, and he just rips a shot. And this is the 39 goal scorer we saw last year, Andrei Kuzmenko, right? We expect him to be a guy who can finish, a guy who can get pucks on net, a guy who can drive some offense. And that's what we saw tonight, at least, especially in the first period. So Kuzmenko opens the scoring with that nice wrister, a minute 34 in. And then the Canucks get their first power play of the game. And this is one of those things where you hate to see it if you're a fan of the team that takes this penalty. Penalties in the offensive zone. Always something you never want to do because you're just taking chances away. It's not preventing a goal against. Mike Hoffman cross-checks Quinn Hughes in front of the Canucks net. Just in the back, Hughes goes down, ref puts the arm up. So the Canucks set up on the power play, and about a minute and a half into the power play, sort of the last gasp for the first unit, JT Miller gets the pass to start skating downhill in the left wing like we see him do so often, and he just fires the puck right at Kuzmenko's stick. It's a perfect set play, and with how dangerous JT Miller is skating down that left wing, like, what do you do to defend this, right? Because a third of the time he rips a shot that is hard to save for every goalie out there. Sometimes he finds Brock Besser sitting back door for a tap in, and sometimes he goes for the tip play, and this time he went for the tip play. Kuzmenko gets a piece of it, tips it past Blackwood, and it's 2-0 early in this one. 2 goals for Andrei Kuzmenko. And we're on Hattie watch 7 minutes into this game. It doesn't happen because Kuzmenko's not the guy to go out with the net empty, of course. But a great start for the Canucks. And I'm getting 10-1 flashbacks in my head. I'm like, oh, are we gonna have one of those nights? Not really. 7's good, but 10's better. The Sharks do get one back, though. 6.5 minutes to play. It's a 3-on-2 rush. Anthony Duclair's shot just goes off of Connor Garland, and then it looks like actually Granlund did get a piece of it upon further review. So Granlund tips it, and it's sort of like it was a low shot, and then Granlund's stick was just there, and it hit his stick and sort of did like a little bounce, and then it went up. I think I don't know the physics of this one, but essentially it was a low shot. It got tipped by one hand on the stick, and it just took a weird hop and went over the shoulder of Demko to make it 2-1. And then 3 minutes after that, you have Tomas Hertl tying it up. And this was a tough one for Elias Pettersson. And really the Elias Pettersson group, right? Pettersson, Kuzmenko specifically, on for both goals for in the first, on for both goals against in the first as well. Pettersson fails to clear. Hertl beats Tyler Myers to the rebound. Have you heard that one before? Tries to go top shelf, and Demko sells out for the high shot. and Hurdle just sort of heals it. And so there's no loft on it. There's no flex of the stick. There's nothing to elevate the puck. It's mostly a fan. And it just slides right through the 5-hole of Demko, which is wide open because he sold out completely for that high shot. So it's 2-2. And you think, oh, a 4-goal first period. It must have been action-packed, back and forth, fun hockey. Shots were 5-5 in the first period. So no, not really. Analytically, expected goals were 0.44 for the Canucks, 0.51 for the Sharks. So expected to be, on average, less than one, or just around 1 goal in that period, just under 1 expected goal in that period. And we got 4. So, we get at least a little bit of excitement. So we go to the second period of this game. Canucks get an early power play. It goes absolutely nowhere. They're struggling to set up and no real dangerous chances. But right as that penalty expires, Niels Oman just drives the net at the whistle. He gets shoved. Joshua doesn't like it. And then Joshua hits the guy back. And Dakota Joshua takes a penalty. So the Canucks go to the penalty kill. And Joshua gets a pass on this one. He went for the shove. He went high, which was like, it's a penalty. I get why it's a penalty. I'm okay with Joshua doing it because he draws so many more penalties that if he's going to take the occasional one, it's okay. And then as this penalty expires, the Canucks do a good job of killing this off. Teddy Bluger just bats a puck down that's getting played back to the Canucks zone at center ice, and it springs a 2-on-1 with him and Niels Oman. Teddy Bluger, for being a 3rd/4th liner when he was brought in to this team, the hands on this guy are not bad. I mean, he goes in, he fakes the shot. He's a lefty going in on the right-hand side. So he's got the puck towards the middle of the ice. And he fakes the shot, and then as the defender's going down to lay out to block the pass, he toe drags around the defender, backhand pass to Niels Oman, who makes no mistake for his 2nd of the year. My boy, my Botchford Project boy, Niels Oman. No, he's not missing that one. So he buries that to make it 3-2, 6 minutes or so into the second period. And then right after, Dakota Joshua, who I was just said draws a bunch of penalties, draws a penalty, gets high sticked. Elias Pettersson gets robbed on a one-timer on this one, sprawling Blackwood save. And then right as this power play expires, so it's not a power play goal, Ian Cole from the point just fires a shot. Justin Bailey's stick is just, he's standing high slot like this, and it goes off of the blade of his stick to redirect, and then it goes off the stick of Sam Lafferty to redirect again. I mean, what are you going to do if you're the goalie there? Like, you're Mackenzie Blackwood, and you just sit there like, 1 tip's hard enough. 2 tips is impossible. You just got to hope it hits you, and it didn't. So Sam Lafferty gets his 9th goal of the season. Ian Cole still looking for his first as a Canuck. That one is not it. But it's 4-2 Vancouver, and they don't give this lead back, thankfully, like they did. It looked like they might, but they didn't. So 8.5 minutes into the second period, Canucks have a 2-goal lead back. Then Sharks answer about 2.5 minutes later, and sensing a bit of a pattern, right? Like the Canucks have been doing this quite a bit lately, where they get these leads and then they just sort of sit back. As Zetterlund gets his 9th of the year off of a really nice play from Ferraro. Ferraro comes in on the rush. He does a little 360 spin pass. Niels Höglander tries to put the stick flat on the ice to block this pass, which works if it's close to the blade of the stick, or it works if the puck is on end. Because what happens is you put your glove down to the ice to put your stick down flat on the ice. Well, your fingers of your glove, they're thicker than the puck is. So there's still some elevation on the stick. The puck slides right under, and Zetterlund scores to make it 4-3. And it's about 9 minutes to go in the second period. Then Teddy Bluger gets a hooking penalty, and it's looking like the Sharks might tie it up. Zetterlund hits the crossbar on this one. Dakota Joshua, again, what an up and down game for him, right? He scores in the third, and he took that penalty. He drew a penalty, and in this one, he tries to make the extra play in his own zone. Like, he thinks he's on a breakout with Pettersson, but Pettersson's just going to trail off, and Joshua just taps it over to nobody, and then the Sharks come right back in, and Zetterlund hits the crossbar. So lucky in this one that it stays 4-3. and then Hronek takes a penalty. And this is a bad call. I think him and Duclair sort of cross paths and run into each other, and Duclair goes down and Hronek doesn't. So they call Hronek for interference. I didn't love the call. And then we get Myers and Pettersson shorthanded on 2-on-1. Myers couldn't get the puck across to Petey, and then Pettersson on the rebound got robbed. And then right after the penalty kill, there's a minute left in the period. Canucks come in on a 4-on-2, and this third line just continues to roll. They come in. It's a triangle as they come into the zone. So let's say the net is up here as they're coming in, the three of them. You get sort of a... I don't know why I'm trying to diagram this thing out. They come in as a triangle, right? Two guys forward. Garland's the trailer. Bluger leaves for Garland and then darts straight forward and essentially takes his defenseman out of the play, right? He's just skating. He's just driving the net, and then Garland can slow down. There's no one really on his tail, so he can create that separation. And that's the best thing you can do on a 3-on-2, right? If you're all on the line, one of your players isn't useful, but you get in a triangle and you got a guy you can drop it to or play it across, and there's just more passing options. So you go for the drop. Garland, as the trailer, has the puck, and he makes this slick little no-look pass to Dakota Joshua, and Joshua is not missing right now. He gets his 9th of the year on a quick shot to make it 5-3 in the last minute of the second period. That's one of those backbreakers. Getting, you're about to go into the intermission down 1 goal if you're the Sharks, and it's like, hey, we can go back, we can tie this thing up in the third, and then now... it just got twice as hard with 45 seconds to go in the period with Joshua scoring that goal. So it's a tough one. So we go to the second period. Shots were 11-9 in favor of Vancouver. Expected goals 1.44 for Vancouver to 1.06 for the Sharks. High danger chances 6-2 in favor of Vancouver. And that's in all situations with the Sharks having a couple power plays. They have 3 power plays, I think. Might have only been 2. Either way, the Canucks were dominant in this period. And the big thing that I want to mention, because the shots in this game end up being 26-25, the shot attempts were 65-42 in favor of Vancouver. There was a ton of blocks on the San Jose side, but we'll get to that a little bit more later. So on paper, pretty even period, but analytically, the Canucks are the better team. And on the score sheet, the Canucks continue their second period dominance, and they pick up a 2-goal lead going into the third. Canucks get an early power play. They do nothing. And then about 10.5 minutes to go in the third, because it was a pretty slow start to the period, Thatcher Demko comes up huge. Granlund gets a rebound. Demko sprawls to make the save. And then the rebound comes to the point, and Demko makes a really nice glove save. It was one of those glove saves where Demko's so understated with the glove. And after Luongo night last Thursday and seeing all the highlights of Luongo making a glove save just like this one and doing a full windmill, and just sort of sitting back with the puck as Luongo would do. Demko doesn't do that. He just grabs it and holds it. But it was a great save that he's not going to get a lot of credit for because he's not that flashy. So that keeps it a 2-goal game. But then the Sharks do get within 1, 6:44 to go in the third. It's just a standard play. Face-off win. The puck gets thrown at the net. Demko stops the shot. The rebound goes to McDonald, who I had never heard of. Who's this guy? Jacob McDonald, defenseman, 30-year-old defenseman who's played 117 career games. I don't know why he's there to clean up the rebound, but he was. So he makes it 5-4. And then, a little bit of life for San Jose. And the Canucks have already blown 1 2-goal lead in the first period, and it looks like they might do it again. But the Canucks, just 2.5 minutes later, shut that down. And this is a face-off win by JT Miller, which we'll get to. JT Miller's face-off performance tonight. Miller wins the draw, back to Quinn Hughes. He takes a shot, and Pius Suter is 5 feet away from where this shot is taken, maybe 4 feet away from the path of the puck, and he just reaches way out and just tips it down. 5-hole. Unreal play. Unreal tip by Pius Suter. Suter now has 6 goals on the year. He's just played 21 games, so he's on a 22-23 goal pace if you were to have played the full 82, which of course he didn't. So yeah, he's missed a third of the games, more than a third of the games, and he's got 6 goals, which is good for him. And then Blackwood to the bench with 2:13 to go, and the Canucks, honestly, fantastic job in this 6-on-5. They shut everything down. San Jose gets no opportunities, and then with about 13 seconds to go, Quinn Hughes at his own blue line Doesn't try to shoot it through guys. He just lobs it over the heads of everyone. It lands right in the crease and rolls into the net. And it's 7-4, just like that. The Canucks get their win. And how many wins is that on the air? Let me get the number right before I just say a wrong number. Their 23rd win of the year in 35 games. I mean, that's just, it's unreal, right? The Canucks won 38 games last year. They are only 15 wins away from tying their win total last year. And we're about a third of the way through the season. More than that. 2/5, 40%-ish. Either way, though, the Canucks are on a torrid pace, which is fantastic. So let's go to my thoughts on the game, my pluses, my minuses. I'm going to start with the negatives because I'm going to transition the pluses into everything else. By the way, all of you in here, thank you for joining. Make sure you hit that like button. I'm sure this hasn't updated because it says 3 on my screen. That doesn't make sense. So hit the like button and hit the subscribe button while you're here on SDPN. Let's start with the minuses. Clearing the zone on the penalty kill. Canucks, I think they thought it was the Sharks and got a little bit fancy with it. Like they had these opportunities to just clear the puck out of the zone, and that Joshua play that I mentioned, just passing it over. But they struggled to get the puck out on the PK a handful of times tonight. It didn't matter. Canucks go 3 for 3 on the penalty kill. That's great. But I think that needs to step up a little bit. I didn't love Tyler Myers' game tonight, to be frank. There was a few instances that were dodgy. And there was there was one shift in the third, not the one that they got scored on, but he was up for like a minute and a half. And instead of going to the bench, he stayed on, gave up the puck in the corner, and then Demko had to make a big save. Just things like that. Like they need to get cleaned up, and against a better team than the Sharks and a 9-win San Jose team might get punished a little bit more for that. Canucks shouldn't be allowing 4 goals to San Jose. I mean, they only allowed 25 shots, and this is a PDO nightmare of a game, right? 11 goals on 51 shots. Like goaltending is just dead, 800 save percentages all around pretty much. But yeah, you can't be allowing 4 goals to the Sharks, right? They got to clean things up a little bit. And sure, one was a tip and, there's and rebounds, but things got to get cleaned up. Demko, for how good he's been this year, he's had some off nights. That's sort of been his MO. Demko doesn't really allow 2 to 3 goals very often. It's either he shuts everything down and it's a 0 or a 1, or he allows 4 or 5. So when Demko's on, he's on. And luckily for the Canucks, Demko has a bit of an off night, allowing 4 goals on 25 shots, but the Canucks outscored that problem because the Canucks scored 7 goals on 26 shots. So it's okay. No harm, no foul. But yeah, they need to clean that up a little bit. And my last negative on this game is it really feels like the Canucks aren't playing the full 60 minutes very often. Not very often, in general, but the last couple of weeks, right? I think back, looking at some of the games here, right? Like this one, they score the 2 goals and then they allow 2 back, right? They don't keep the foot on the gas, and they sort of let up at times. The Stars game was a good example, right? They get beat late. That Wild game was an example. The Devils one is the one that I'm still traumatized by, when they came back from that lead and then gave up essentially. So that's something just they need to clean up. But my pluses list is larger. Number 1, the return of Andrei Kuzmenko. Was he unbelievable tonight? No. He scores the 2 goals though. And you look on the stat sheet, he's a -2, right? That's unfortunate. And he played 15 and a half minutes, though. He was not the low minute man. That would be Sam Lafferty at 9-10. So the -2 isn't great, but were any of the goals against really on him? No. And then, Elias Pettersson, 2 goals, 2 assists. He was also a -2. Sorry, not 2 goals, 2 assists. 2 assists is what I meant. The columns moved over. So Kuzmenko with 2 goals, Pettersson with 2 assists, both of them being -2s. I don't think Kuzmenko was that bad tonight, though. I thought he was fine. I thought Pettersson was a little bit worse. So his return, that was nice. Teddy Bluger on the penalty kill, I want to give a shout out to. He was fantastic. I mean, he springs that goal that at the end of that one penalty on that nice little pass over to Niels Oman. He was just really good on the PK, just breaking plays up, clearing things out nicely. Noah Juleson gets a big plus for me. And it's not just for tonight, although this was really culminated when, like, with a minute to go, a minute and a half maybe, he lays that really nice hit on Mikael Granlund. Who went and challenged him? Was it Duclair? Duclair, I think, went after him after the whistle, and it was like a perfectly clean, great body check, just stepped up, shoulder to the chest, perfect. Juleson with Ian Cole, they've been settling in. Noah Juleson, for how much I disliked his play early in the season, has filled out that Carson Soucy hole pretty well, especially in the last week or two. So good on him. Hopefully he can keep that up after the break. Quinn Hughes with that empty net goal ties the record for most multi-point games by a defenseman in Canucks history. He has 68 in his career already, tying Alex Edler. So he might have that on his own by the new year. I mean, that would just be the Flyers game, but within the first week of January, he probably has that record to himself. And then my big plus of the night, and I took the note maybe a little bit early. I want to see if it changed at all. This isn't going to tell me. Let me see. 19 divided by 24 is 79. So we must have lost a face-off after, because he ended the night with 74-1. So either way, I'm going to say JT Miller, I'm going to assume it's 19 of 25 face-offs that he won tonight. That is unbelievable. 19-6 in the face-off circle. It's the most wins he's had in the season. 74% in the face-off circle. And, you know, it led to that one goal, that Pew Suter goal. Just dominant in the face-off circle, as he has been quite often in his career. And then, of course, the biggest plus of the night. The absolute biggest plus of the night. That's the standings, folks. Take a look at the standings, and you will see that the Vancouver Canucks have more points than any team in the league. And sure, we can go down the point differential route, but it's Christmas, so let's have some positivity. You know, maybe we shield our eyes, and if we can believe in Santa Claus, we can believe in the absolute value of points being more value than point percentage. 49 points in 35 games for the Canucks so far this year. That is a 115-point pace. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. 23, 9, and 3. The only team with a better points percentage is the New York Rangers, who have played 3 fewer games and have 2 fewer points, because they've been playing quite well lately. But that's for the Canucks. It's 7, 1, and 2 in their last 10, right? They're collecting all of the points. They get 6 out of a possible 8 points on that road trip. They get 2 points tonight. They are just rolling. The Kings have 42 points. They're third in the Pacific, but let me pull up the old standings machine here and go by points percentage, conference points percentage. And that has, the Canucks and the Kings are both at 700 in points percentage. So they are tied for the top of the West. Vegas is down at a 671. Canucks have 2 points on them, and that is 2 points of absolute value because Vegas has played the same number of games. I think they lost tonight, but the NHL website is being absolutely terrible right now. Yeah, they lost 4-2 to the Panthers and got absolutely dominated. Shots were 42-25. So we love to see the Golden Knights struggling. We almost had the lead grow on the Dallas Stars, but then they scored 2 goals in the last 13 seconds of that game to go from losing to getting 2 points. So that's unfortunate. But in the standings, the Canucks have 135 goals, more than anybody, and it's not even really that close. Detroit has 121, Colorado has 125, Vegas has 122, but the goal differential of 46 is far and away the best in hockey. The Rangers, who have the best point percentage in the league, they have a goal differential of 19. Like barely, like 19. They've won 23 games. Like it doesn't even add up. 19 goal differential. Canucks have 46. The second best goal differential in hockey is the Kings with 34. And the Sharks are now at minus 67. So a tough night for them. So as we go into the holiday break, I mean, who saw this coming, right? Who saw the Vancouver Canucks being at the very top of the table? In basically every metric except the one that really matters, points percentage. But second, tied for second, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. That is unbelievable. And as things shake out right now, right, if the Canucks can find a way to hang on to this for 47 more games, and I'm not saying they will, I mean, are they going to make the playoffs? Yeah. Coming into tonight, as per the Athletics model, the Vancouver Canucks had a 96% chance of making the postseason. So they will be a playoff team, basically without a doubt. But man, you just look at these numbers and it doesn't feel real to open up NHL.com, click on league, and there's an orca whale right on the top of those standings. It's crazy. It is crazy the turnaround that this team has seen. And it's crazy how this has come from so many different factors, right? It's not like the Canucks went out and made a big splash, right? Sure, they got rid of Horvat and brought in Hronek, right? That was the one big move. The rest of it's just been good depth and chemistry and people working together, right? The Canucks have one of the best goaltending tandems in hockey right now, probably like top 3 with Boston and Vegas, I would say. And maybe the Rangers. They're top 5 goalie tandem. That helps. You've got Elias Pettersson, who's not playing his best hockey, and he's over a point a game. You've got JT Miller playing fantastic. You've got Quinn Hughes being one of the best defensemen in hockey. You've got Brock Besser, who went from struggling for the last 5 years to now being number 2 in the league in goals, behind Matthews, who won't stop scoring. Like, is Besser going to win the Rocket? No. Austin Matthews is on a tear. But is Besser going to score 40? Probably. And that's fantastic. And do the Canucks have one of the best third lines in hockey? It sure seems that way, right? Connor Garland, for being the analytical darling that he has been, and now I can go back and reference my video that I made of the Canucks should not trade Connor Garland. How good does that look now with him playing with Joshua and Bluger? Because that third line can go out there. They can get a bunch of ice time. Let's see how much ice time they had tonight. Let's see, box score. Garland played 16 minutes. Bluger played 16 minutes. Joshua, they all played 16 minutes tonight. And those were, big minutes. And they dominated those minutes. They were each a +2 in this game. They were each a +2 in this game. And if I go onto the Canucks on ice standings, let's see who were the best performers tonight by expected goals. At 5-on-5, Noah Juleson is far and away your MVP. Sorry, I lost it here. 5-on-5 expected goals percentage. Noah Juleson had expected goals percentage while he was on the ice of 95.5%. Sam Lafferty, 94.5%. Niels Oman, 94%. Because when those 3 players were on the ice, there was 0 expected goals. 0.01, 0.01, 0.03. So those 3 players absolutely shut it down tonight. Connor Garland at 5-on-5. Connor Garland, Dakota Joshua, Teddy Bluger, all next to each other, all around 70% for expected goals percentage while they were on the ice tonight. That's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And then at all situations, I'm sure it even gets better. At all situations, Connor Garland's number 2. Analytically, that line's fantastic. On the ice, that line's fantastic. Man, if you can have a third line like that, it's so hard for me to start looking at this team as a contender, just because historically they haven't been, and it's such a weird, hard transition from missing the playoffs all these years to being like top of the league. But every year we get into the playoffs, and the top few teams have this third line that comes out of nowhere and dominates, right? You think back to like the guys like Tom Wilson and Washington's run. You look at guys like Brandon Hagel, right? Like these guys who sort of fly under the radar and then become heroes in the playoffs. This third line that the Canucks have is exactly that kind of line, right? That's a line that you can see going out and winning a playoff game for this team. And I think that's awesome. It's very fun. We're at about the 30-minute mark, so that's my thoughts on everything. So now we'll go to you, the people. Folks, if you want to get some questions in for me, we'll take about 10 minutes here to answer a few of those. While I wait for those to pile in, to the 130 of you in here, thank you very much for joining me. Make sure you hit that like button while you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe to SDPN while you're here, and maybe give me a follow on Twitter at Parker's Pucks. We're trying to jump those numbers up a little bit. Let me pull up the stream. First question that I will take. I'm going to scroll up a little bit first to see if there's any that I should grab from higher up. I don't think so. So let's go down to this one from Last Resort 318. They ask, when Soucy is back, do we sit Myers instead of Juleson? Myers is flubbing the puck Myers flubbing the puck led to the faceoff that led to the Sharks' fourth goal. His mistakes are starting to pile up again. This is an interesting one to me because Tyler Myers, how many minutes did Tyler Myers play tonight? I think that's a crucial question. He played 18 and a half minutes, so he is kind of sheltered. Zadorov and Juleson each were in the 16 range. Cole played 19, and then, of course, Hughes and Hronek were higher. This one's an interesting question because, to me, Juleson is worse than Tyler Myers in general, but right now, Juleson is playing better than Tyler Myers. Tyler Myers had this 1 to 2 week period where he played 15 minutes a night, which is kind of what he played tonight in a sheltered role, and he was very good. Now, it was a sheltered role, and it was less value ice time, and yada, yada, yada. But he showed some good stuff there. But his lows are low. He does cause some harm to the team. So when Soucy is back, obviously he will draw in. The thing is, I think Juleson's the guy that comes out unless there's some really bad game from Tyler Myers right before Soucy comes back and Myers is deserving of a scratch. I wouldn't hate it as an idea though, because if you can give that a test drive, right? You can say, all right, Soucy's back. We've got everyone healthy. Let's sit Myers out. Let's see how they do. How expendable does Tyler Myers get if that goes well? And I think that's something that could be really valuable for the team. So I like your idea. And Fangirl asks, how would you change the D pairings after Soucy returns? I don't really want to go into the pairings because that all gets messy. I mean, let's say in this hypothetical, you keep Juleson in there, you keep him with Cole, and then you would, I guess, put Soucy with Zadorov potentially, and then leave Hughes and Hronek together because Hughes and Hronek are going to stay together. Myers and Zadorov will stay together unless Myers is the one coming out of the lineup, and then I guess Soucy would go with Cole. So it would go back to sort of what we're used to, but with Zadorov plugged in instead of Juleson / Friedman in that spot. Richard Brock says, what or who can the Canucks add at the deadline? Do they need to add? Depends on what your goals are. If your goal is to be a really good hockey team that probably finishes second in the Pacific, maybe third if Vegas and LA go on a run, the Canucks could very realistically finish in any spot between first and third in the Pacific right now. I would not be surprised. And I'm actually curious. I had the Athletic thing open. They do a thing based on percentage chance of each spot. They have the Canucks most likely to finish third. They have Vegas and LA projected 2 points higher than them, but it's 106, 106, 104. It's one game swing, right? This tonight that might change it back to even because this isn't taken into account. It's essentially even split chances of first, second, and third because it's a toss up between Vegas, LA, and Vancouver, and then Edmonton trying to claw their way back, of course. So do they need to add? I mean, if you're content with being top 3 in the Pacific, no. If they want to actually contend for a Stanley Cup, they could add, right? I think more defensive depth would be nice. Very nice to have. A Myers replacement, potentially, an upgrade there, would be nice to have. And maybe a little bit, I don't know, another piece up front to just sort of shift everyone down. They don't really have many holes right now. But if you can add someone in the top half of the lineup and shift everyone else down, it just makes all your other lines better too. So do they need to add? No. Will they? I think so, especially if they keep this up. Sharon asks, if you could have a wish list for Sanda, what would you ask for? And then in brackets, top 6 forward, top 6 defense, or other. Honestly, it would be a defenseman, right? And just to allow you to pull Myers out. Because that's the thing, right? If Soucy comes back and is healthy, you're usually going to have one defenseman injured most of the time. But if Juleson is now someone you're comfortable with in a top 6 role defensively, in a mainstay defensive role, if you're able to bring in one more defenseman, that makes Tyler Myers expendable. That makes the Tyler Myers cap hit easy to take off. Not easy to take off the books. It's hard to move, but it makes it so you can take it off the books and not be worried about losing a player that can eat 19 minutes a night on D for you. So if you could add a defenseman and get rid of Myers and maybe use that money to add more, that would be my wish. It's weird thinking about buying though. It scares me. But let's have some fun, right? Yeah. When your team's this good, that's what the draft picks are for, right? That's why you have that capital. Let's ride. Let's have some fun. I'm tired of looking forward to prospects way down the line. When apparently all you have to do is go out and just be smart with your money and pick up guys like Suter, Bluger, Susie, Cole, guys like that. Just keep adding those guys every year and you're fine, right? Oh man, the whole thing just shifted. Oh, where was I? Oh no. Okay, I found it. Just the chat got it just skipped down to the bottom. Cordell asks, how does the trade market treat our club? Assets are better used now, given our place with talent. Oh, I'm struggling to understand the question. As in, like, do they have the ability to get good value? Is how I'm going to answer this question. Like, can the Canucks get good value for like improving their lineup? I think so. I mean, we saw Patrick Allvin's move for Zadorov. That was cheaper than I thought it would be. It's not like Zadorov's been a world beater. He hasn't been fantastic. He's been okay. He's been fun to watch at times. Like, he'll lay a big hit, which is great. But yeah, I think the Canucks are going to be in an okay spot. The flat cap makes things tricky, but it seems like this management group is creative enough to like take advantage of situations as they arise, right? Being able to get rid of Beauvillier right after the sort of debacle in Chicago, and then using that freed up cap space to not have to retain anything or to not force Calgary to retain anything on Nikita Zadorov to allow him to come here, right? They jump on these opportunities as they arise. They're not sort of hesitant to do those things, and I think that's very advantageous. Antagonist says, are you opposed to a trade for Jake Guentzel? Asking price is a first and a prospect. UFA at the end of the year, 29 years old, might be risky. Oh, it's the epitome of risk, right? That is, potentially he's lining up for his big contract, right? He makes $6 million going into this offseason. He's been a point per game player his entire career. He's going to get paid. Jake Guentzel's going to get paid. He's going to get 7 years from somebody, 6 or 7 years, probably somewhere, maybe $8 million a year, maybe more. Who knows? The Canucks aren't really in a great spot to give up that money, right? They don't have that money to give up. So if you're making that move, is it a pure rental for Jake Guentzel? Because if that's the case, I don't think I'm there yet on this team, right? Maybe by March I am, or whatever the deadline is, late February, early March. Maybe by then, if this team is, is still first in the league, then I guess why not? Why not sell sell the farm and go after a cup, right? And man, that would be fun to watch. But yeah, it probably would be a pure rental at that point, and that's a bit scary. First and a prospect. I don't care about any of our prospects particularly much. The first part of it, I mean, hey, where's that first going to be right now? Is that going to be between 25th and 32nd overall? I might do it. I wouldn't do it today, but if this team's still rolling in February, March, that might be a trigger I'd pull. Might be. All right. We'll take a couple more here. So we go 10 minutes, but about 8. So let's do something here. Casey asks, did Suter have such good hands last season or something just clicked on her Tocchet? Pius Suter seems like the sort of prototypical Rick Tocchet guy. I mean, what did he do last year? Didn't he score? He scored a decent amount, right? He scored 14 goals essentially the last 3 years. But his first year in the league, the bubble year, he had 14 goals in 55 games, right? He was on like a 25 goal pace. He's got decent hands. He can score. That's never really been an issue with his game. He's a defensive forward who has that slight bit of offensive upside that every few games he will pot one. So I don't think anything special is happening here. I think he's genuinely just a really good hockey player that's probably undervalued at $1.6 million. Everything skipped away again. Let's see. A couple more here. DEL says, would you swap Nylander for Pettersson? I would not. Just the center value alone is big. And Pettersson has these slump waves, but man, when we get to playoff time, Elias Pettersson is a guy that is going to be a weapon in the postseason, right? I mean, we saw it in their one postseason run. He was pretty good. I mean, he was no Bo Horvat in that run, but he just strikes me as the like that playoff mentality of just being an absolute killer. So that's what I want to see. And I think that's Darth Nuttall asked if I could give the third line a nickname. What I am. I have no good ideas. There's some bad ideas out there. I'll tell you that. Every idea I've seen so far has been bad. I will do some brainstorming over the Christmas break and see if I come up with something, because that would be a cool thing to be able to take credit for. But I think we're at about that time. It's 10:30. We're 40 minutes in. There's 170 in here. I hate to leave you all, but I think it is about that time that we should wrap it up. So I will say, I guess it's just me. I know Clay's in the chat as well, but on behalf of the four of us, myself, Clay, Kaya, and Sam, happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holiday break. We look forward to coming back. I guess in the new year, the Canucks play one game before that. I'm not doing that one. So I will see you all in the new year. If you missed any part of the show, you can rewind back to the beginning or find it on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to SDPN. You can find me, Parker's Pucks, on YouTube, Parker's Pucks, Twitter/X, Parker's Pucks. Just look it up. It'll be there. And yeah, other than that, thank you all very much for joining us over the course of 2023. We'll be back better than ever in 2024 as we follow this Vancouver Canucks hockey team that is somehow the best team in the NHL? ? Maybe worse than the Rangers, but best in goal differential, and that's what I'm going by. Anyways, that's all. Have a good night. I'll see you next year.